At the dawn of the 20th century, when the world was just beginning to embrace the mechanical revolution, two men from vastly different walks of life came together to create what would become the most prestigious automobile brand in history, Rolls-Royce. One of them was Charles Stuart Rolls, born in 1877 into British aristocracy. He was the third son of Lord and Lady Langattock and grew up surrounded by the elegance of privilege. But from a young age, Rolls was different from his peers. Rather than being content with a life of leisure, he was fascinated by machines, speed, and engineering. At Eton and later Trinity College, Cambridge, he developed a deep interest in engines, automobiles, and eventually aviation. When most saw cars as noisy contraptions, he saw the future. He bought one of the first automobiles in Britain, a Peugeot, and quickly gained a reputation for his driving prowess and mechanical knowledge. Charles Rolls wasn't just a driver, he was a visionary. In 1903, he founded C.S. Rolls & Coffers, one of Britain's first dealerships, importing high-end French and Belgian motor cars. But as much as he loved selling cars, he yearned for something better, something British, something that didn't just compete with European designs but surpassed them. He dreamed of a machine so refined, so dependable, and so elegant that it would redefine the standard of engineering. Miles away, in an entirely different world, lived Frederick Henry Royce. Born in 1863 into poverty, Royce had a very different start. His father died when he was just 9 years old, and to support his family he began selling newspapers and delivering telegrams. At 14, he managed to secure an apprenticeship with the Great Northern Railway, which exposed him to the principles of precision and industrial engineering. By 1884, with just $20 in capital, he co-founded F.H. Royce & Cumberty, a small business that manufactured electric cranes and dynamos. Royce was not a man of flair or social standing like Rolls. He was quiet, intensely focused, and obsessed with perfection. Every screw, every bolt, every connection had to be flawless. He worked long hours, often skipping meals and sleep, and developed a reputation as a tireless innovator. When he encountered early automobiles, he was unimpressed with their noisy engines and frequent breakdowns. So he set out to build his own car, not just any car, but one that would be the best in the world. In 1904, in a modest Manchester workshop, he completed the first Royce 10-horsepower car. It was a triumph of precision, smooth, quiet, and reliable, everything that other cars at the time were not. That same year, Henry Edmonds, a mutual acquaintance of both men and a director at Royce's company, recognized the potential of a partnership. He believed that Royce's engineering genius and Rolls' salesmanship could create something extraordinary. On May 4, 1904, Charles Rolls met Henry Royce at the Midland Hotel in Manchester. Rolls was initially skeptical. He preferred 3- or 4-cylinder engines, while Royce had built a 2-cylinder model. But after test driving the car, Rolls was astonished. It was smooth, quiet, and handled far better than anything he had seen. He knew immediately that he had found what he was looking for. Within weeks, Rolls agreed to sell all the cars Royce could manufacture under the name Rolls-Royce. Though they came from different worlds, one a polished aristocrat and the other a self-made engineer, their partnership was bound by a mutual respect for excellence. They were not interested in making the most cars, they were interested in making the best. In 1906, Rolls-Royce Limited was officially formed. That same year, they introduced the 4050 horsepower model, which would later become known as the Silver Ghost. This car was revolutionary. It ran so smoothly and quietly that a journalist famously called it the best car in the world. It could drive for hundreds of miles without a breakdown, unheard of in an era when motorists carried spare parts for frequent repairs. The Silver Ghost set a new standard for what a luxury car could be: elegant, powerful, and extraordinarily well built. But just as the company was gaining momentum, tragedy struck. Charles Rolls, who had become deeply involved in early aviation, was attempting to break records with his Wright Flyer aircraft. On July 12, 1910, during an aviation demonstration in Bournemouth, his plane broke apart in mid-air. Rolls was killed instantly at just 32 years old. He became the first Briton to die in an aircraft accident, and his death was a national tragedy. Without Rolls, many feared that the dream they had built together might fade. But Henry Royce, devastated by the loss, pressed on. He threw himself even more deeply into his work, designing cars and later aircraft engines with the same obsession for perfection. His motto was simple: "Whatever is rightly done, however humble, is noble." This became the guiding principle of the Rolls-Royce brand. During World War I, the British government turned to Rolls-Royce to help power their aircraft. Royce responded by designing the Rolls-Royce Eagle engine, which became the workhorse of the British Air Force. It powered the first non-stop transatlantic flight in 1919, piloted by Alcock and Brown. The success of the Eagle engine marked Rolls-Royce as not only a leader in automobiles but also a pioneer in aviation engineering. After the war, Rolls-Royce returned to building automobiles, now catering to royalty, heads of state, and the world's elite. In the 1920s and 1930s, models like the Phantom Y and Phantom II became symbols of luxury and success. Royce, though often in poor health, continued to work until his death in 1933. His legacy, however, lived on in the form of the engineering excellence that he had demanded in every product. Over the decades, Rolls-Royce became more than just a car company. It became a symbol of aspiration. From the polished walnut dashboards to the silent glide of the engine, every part of a Rolls-Royce was a work of art, crafted not for mass consumption, but for the discerning few who demanded perfection. In 1971, due to financial difficulties related to the development of a jet engine, the Rolls-Royce company was nationalized by the British government. Eventually, the car division was separated from the aerospace division. In 1998, BMW and Volkswagen both bid for the rights to Rolls-Royce motor cars. Through a complex series of negotiations, BMW secured the brand name and began manufacturing Rolls-Royce cars under its ownership from 2003 at a new facility in Goodwood, England. Today, under BMW's stewardship, Rolls-Royce Motor Cars continues to carry forward the spirit of its founders. Models like the Phantom, Ghost, Wraith, and Cullinan are not only technological masterpieces but also heirlooms of craftsmanship. Each vehicle is built to order, often taking months to complete, with unparalleled attention to detail. From hand-stitched leather interiors to custom paint colors blended to the owner's preference. At the heart of every Rolls-Royce lies a piece of history, a legacy of two men who, despite their vastly different origins, believed in the same thing, that excellence is not a goal, but a way of life. Charles Rolls brought vision, charisma, and daring. Henry Royce brought discipline, genius, and an obsession with quality. Together, they created not just a company, but a legend. A century later, the name Rolls-Royce still stands as a global synonym for perfection. Proof that when ambition meets craftsmanship, the results are timeless.